Before this station became associated with war, it was part of something far quieter, a network of railroads connecting Baltimore to Philadelphia, New York, and the free states beyond. For many, these tracks carried commerce. For others, they carried hope. History remembers Frederick Douglass. It should. But he was not alone. Today, let us remember others whose journeys became connected to this railroad network. William and Ellen Craft, Henry Box Brown, Lear Green, Harriet Eglin, Charlotte Giles, Jake Pennington, Bob Pennington, Stephen Pennington, Rachel Parker, Elizabeth Parker, Joseph G. Johnson. Each story was different. Each required extraordinary courage. Some traveled disguised. Some relied on borrowed papers. Some depended upon complete strangers. Others trusted people whose names history never recorded. The railroad carried more than passengers. It carried possibility. But these same transportation networks carried another story, one far less familiar: the reverse Underground Railroad. Free Black Americans were kidnapped, forced onto ships, loaded onto trains, and transported south into slavery. One of the best-known victims was Solomon Northup. He was born free in Minerva, New York in 1807. In 1841, two white men lured Solomon from upstate New York to the capital region by train with the promise of high-paying musician jobs. His train stopped at President Street Station en route to Washington. When he arrived in Washington, Solomon was drugged, chained, beaten, and illegally kidnapped and sold south into slavery, separated from his family for 12 years. Before finally returning home as a free man, his story reminds us that transportation itself was never good or evil. It depended upon who controlled it. The same networks that carried people toward freedom could also carry freedom away. 23 years later, these same tracks carried different passengers, not freedom seekers, soldiers. On April 19, 1861, Union troops arrived here at President Street Station. Because Baltimore's railroads were not yet connected, they had to leave the station and march through the city toward Camden Station. What happened next became known as the Pratt Street Riot, one of the first deadly confrontations of the Civil War. Baltimore would never be the same. President Street Station is more than a railroad station. It is a crossroads, a place where journeys toward freedom, journeys into slavery, and journeys into war all intersected. Here, transportation became destiny. The tracks carried people, but the choices they made helped shape a nation. History happened right here where you're standing. In just a few moments, we're going to leave this station and follow the very streets those soldiers walked. We'll retrace their steps toward Camden Station, where fear, anger, courage, and violence collided in the streets of Baltimore.